Greetings to all viewers. This is Professor Ankit Singh. We'll now move to the next topic, that is aggregates. Okay. So basically, what are aggregates? Aggregate is a collective term for the mineral materials such as sand, gravel, crushed stone that are used with a binding medium such as water, bitumen, Portland cement, lime, etc. to form compound materials such as bituminous concrete and Portland cement concrete. Okay, so basically water aggregates are nothing but the mineral elements, okay, which may be boulders, stones, cobbles, sand, etc. Okay, now all these differences are based on the size. Okay, so the aggregates could be coarse aggregate or they could be fine aggregate. By volume, aggregate generally accounts for 92 to 96% of the bituminous concrete and about 70 to 80% of Portland cement concrete. Now these aggregates are used for construction of both flexible pavements, or they are used for construction of rigid pavements also. Okay. Now in the case of rigid pavements, the aggregate consists of about 70 to 80% of the pavement, and in the case of flexible or bituminous pavements, the aggregates consists of 92 to 96% of the bituminous concrete. Okay. Aggregate is also used for base and sub-base courses for both flexible and rigid pavements. Okay, so they are being used for three courses, you can say, for base, for sub base, and for the surface course. Okay, aggregates can either be natural or manufactured. Okay, so they can be either obtained naturally in these different sizes or they can be manufactured in industries. Natural aggregates are generally extracted from larger rock formations through an open excavation or quarry. The extracted rock is typically reduced to usable sizes by mechanical crushing. Okay, now this is about the natural aggregates. What are manufactured aggregates? The manufactured aggregate is often a byproduct of other manufacturing industries. Okay. Now, there are few desirable properties of these aggregates. Okay, so how should a ideal aggregate behave, or what properties should it show? Okay, so there are a few properties which are strength, hardness, toughness, shape of aggregates, adhesion with bitumen, durability, and free from deleterious particles. Okay, so let us discuss all these properties one by one. The first property is strength. Okay, so what is strength? The aggregates used in the top layers are subjected to stress action due to traffic wheel load, wear and tear, and crushing. Okay, so these are three things or three forces which the aggregates at the top layers are being subjected to. Okay, for a high quality pavement, the aggregate should possess high resistance to crushing and to withstand the stresses due to traffic wheel load. Okay, so strength is nothing but the resistance to crushing load. Okay, so strength is resistance to crushing load, and this crushing load is a load which is gradually being applied on the aggregates. Okay, it is not a sudden load, it is a gradual load. Next property is hardness. The aggregates used in the surface course are subjected to constant rubbing or abrasion due to moving traffic. The aggregates should be hard enough to resist the abrasive action caused by the movement of traffic. Okay, so hardness is nothing but the property of resisting the abrasion. Okay, resistance of wear and tear or resistance to abrasion due to movement of traffic is nothing but hardness. The next property is toughness. The resistance of the aggregates to impact is termed as toughness. Okay, so impact is nothing but a sudden load. Okay, you need to note that in strength the type of load is a gradually applied load. Okay, and in the toughness the loading is impact loading or a sudden loading. The aggregates used in the pavement should be able to resist the effect caused by the jumping of the wheels from one particle to another at different levels, and which causes severe impact on the aggregates, okay, due to jumping of the wheels. Now this jumping can easily be seen at undulations, or it can be seen at bumps and speed breakers. Okay, when the wheel jumps over and it hits the aggregates on the road surface. Okay, now this would be a sudden load or an impact load. So the resistance to this impact load is nothing but toughness. Next is shape of aggregates. Okay, as we have already studied in concrete technology that the aggregates have different shapes. Okay, and these shapes will affect the binding properties and also the crushing strength. Aggregates which happen to fall in particular size range may have rounded, cubical, angular, flaky or elongated particles or shapes. Okay, so the aggregates can be of these different types of shapes. It is evident that the flaky and elongated particles will have less strength and durability when compared to the cubical, angular or rounded particles of the same aggregate. Okay, so the strength properties will differ with the shape. So ideally the flaky and elongated particles should be least in our aggregate sample which is being used to construct the roads. Hence, too flaky and too much elongated aggregates should be avoided as far as possible. Okay. The next property is adhesion with bitumen. The aggregates used in bituminous pavements should have less affinity with water when compared with bituminous materials. Otherwise, the bituminous coating on the aggregate will be stripped off in the presence of water. Okay, so the aggregates which are to be used in road construction, here in the case of flexible pavement or bituminous pavement, these aggregates should have less affinity towards water and it should have more affinity to the bituminous material or bitumen, or if tar is being used then in that case tar. Okay, so if there is good adhesion, okay, adhesion is nothing but binding property. Okay, if there is good binding of bitumen and aggregates, then there will be less stripping due to the presence of water. Okay, the next property is durability. The property of aggregates to withstand adverse action of weather is called soundness. Okay, so the property of aggregates to resist weathering action, okay, due to environmental changes or physical changes is nothing but soundness. The aggregates are subjected to the physical and chemical action of rain and bottom water, impurities therein and that of the atmosphere. Hence it is desirable that the road aggregates used in the construction should be sound enough to withstand the weathering action. Okay, so the resistance to weathering is known as durability, or it is also known as soundness. Okay, the next property is free from deleterious particles. Okay, this means that there should not be any foreign matter in our aggregates. Okay, the specifications for aggregates used in bituminous mixes usually require the aggregates should be clean, tough and durable in nature, free from excess amount of elongated pieces, dust, clay balls and other objectionable material. So our aggregate should be clean, it should be tough and it should be durable, and it should be free from materials like dust, clay balls or other objectionable materials like grass or wood, okay, or plastic in some cases. Similarly, aggregates used in Portland cement concrete mixes must be clean and free from deleterious substances such as clay lumps, silt, and other organic impurities. Okay, so this is free from deleterious particles. The aggregate sample should be free from all these types of foreign matter. Now, aggregate test. Okay, in order to decide whether the aggregate sample that we get is suitable to be used for road construction or not, we perform a few tests on that aggregate. Okay, so in order to decide the suitability of aggregates for use in the pavement construction, the following tests are being carried out. Okay, so a few of these tests are crushing test, abrasion test, impact test, soundness test, shape test, specific gravity and water absorption test, and bitumen adhesion test. Okay, so these are a few tests that are being performed. Now I'll be uploading videos on these tests. Okay, so you need to go through those videos. Okay, there would be videos regarding each of these tests. Okay, in the crushing test, basically what we do is we have apparatus, a cylindrical mold in which we fill the aggregates in 3 layers. Okay, and then using a CTM or a compression testing machine, we applied load on this aggregate sample, and for a load of 40 tons, after the load of 40 tons is being applied, we release the load and take out this aggregate sample, and then we sieve it through a particular size sieve. Okay, and then we record the crushed aggregates value. Okay, the crushed aggregates value is being recorded as a percentage. Okay, similarly we have abrasion test. Okay, so in the abrasion test we have a abrasion tester machine here, which is the Los Angeles machine. It consists of a cylindrical drum. We take a certain amount of known aggregate sample which is in a gradation. Okay, so which has aggregates of different sizes. Okay, there is a weighed amount, it can be 5 kg or 10 kg. Now this amount of aggregates is taken in this drum. Steel charges or steel balls are being used, or these balls are being added into this drum, and the drum is being closed. Okay, then this drum is rotated for a fixed amount of rotations, after which these aggregate samples are taken out and then they are sieved under some certain size of sieve, and then the weight passing through the sieve is recorded, and later on we find out the abrasion value, that is also recorded in percentage. Okay, in the impact test, the impact machine is being used. Here a hammer is dropped on the aggregate samples. Okay, now this hammer is dropped a total of 15 times. 15 times this hammer is being dropped on this aggregate sample, and later on this aggregate sample is taken out and is sieved, and the impact test percentage is found out. Shape tests. In shape tests we conduct 2 tests, that is flakiness test and the elongation test. We find out whether the aggregates are flaky or elongated, and then we record the percentage of flaky and percentage of elongated aggregates. Okay, so I'll be uploading a video on each of these tests. Okay, so there are more tests like the soundness test, specific gravity, water absorption test, and bitumen adhesion test. I'll be uploading videos on each of these tests. The next topic or the next material to be discussed is bituminous materials, which would consist of bitumen and tar. Okay, and then there are different classifications in bitumen, so we'll be discussing all these in my next class. Thank you.